This section is on local scope. For the implementation of functions, it's important that the writer of a function knows the names of variables inside of a function. On the other hand, if you're only using a function, written possibly by somebody completely different, you don't care about the implementation, you only care about the user interface. Variables that are used inside the function for the implementation are not important. The user shouldn't care about these variables just used in the implementation. C# enforces this idea with local scope rules. Variables that are initialized and used inside of one function are invisible to other functions. These variables are called local variables. For instance, in the last section, we had the last first function with its local variable separator. We could easily have had another function that defines a separator variable with a different value. That would not conflict. They would be independent as long as they were in different functions. That avoids lots of errors. The first BASIC on PCs made all names be visible and usable everywhere, and that was a real headache. Let's look at this example here in MonoDevelop, illustrating very simply bad scope. We have a main program. It declares X and it calls F. Here in the text of the program, X is defined. Now if I were to take away these comment marks here, we would have an X in here, and although X is defined up here, this is a separate function. It's not defined here. As we'll see in a moment, we'll get an error. Actually, let's start by just building the program as it is to show what happens in MonoDevelop. Here there's a comment and a warning. The variable X is assigned, but its value is never used. You may get a warning like that to remind you of the kind of errors that I was going about here. By this, it means that X is never used in this function, the only place that makes sense. Let's go on and change this to make it so it is completely wrong. Suppose we have this. Let me try to build it again. And now this is the sort of international stop sign is an actual error. And here I blew up the size of the print here so the comment doesn't actually fit, but it's got this little down arrow that we can click. The name X does not exist in the current context. In other words, the definition of X up here has no effect down here where this line is. Here's an alternative. The way we've discussed passing information between different functions is with parameters. So if we changed the definition of F so that it has a parameter, we can call F of X, giving it the value that we have from our variable here, and passing it in to a variable in F where it does make sense to refer to it. One other thing here, I happen to choose, just for correspondence, to name this formal parameter the same as the local variable here. Remember, this is a local variable now inside of F. Its name has nothing to do with the X up here. I can choose to make it be the same, but I could have replaced this X by whatever as long as I was consistent. In fact, I could even use the name whatever. I could have rewritten this definition of the function F. What's important is that whatever is here matches where I use it in the function.